Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. It's been a while. Yeah, I missed talking to you guys. I wanted to make another video, and this one's gonna be a little bit more raw. I wanted to do kind of just venting and being more vulnerable. That's something that I really want to work on, is being more open to you guys and being, yeah, not just pretending that everything is going well, being able to really understand what's happening so that we can go through the process of getting to our dreams together. So this video, I basically wanted to just go into the last 2 years about really what has happened. I'm not gonna get into the familial side as much this video. I'll work towards that, but right now I'm not super comfortable with talking about everything in detail, just because I haven't healed from it enough. And I definitely got a therapist in LA that's been really helpful. I've had her for about a month and a half, but it's a work in progress. And I'll tell you guys eventually in more detail once I'm more confident in myself and I want to share. But yeah, I really wanted to, first of all, talk about the last 2 years. So let's start at the beginning. So high school. At the end of my senior year, I applied for Berklee College of Music. We traveled out to Boston to go and audition, and I had never been to Boston before. It was amazing. I felt the audition went really well, but I wasn't expecting much because it's Berklee. And then we were off for spring break, and the acceptance letter had come to our house, and it was excruciating. It was really hard. And I got home and I got accepted. And it was an amazing feeling, but it was kind of weird. It had this underlying tone of, well, what do we do now? Because I got accepted, and my parents, they were excited, but it was very obvious that they were nervous about the finances of it, and it kind of took me out of it a little bit. But that was the first step, and that kind of encapsulates what happens in the future that I'm going to get into. So I go to Berklee. I'm there for 2 years. I also am an RA at Berklee, which is the hardest job to get at Berklee. So out of the Berklee students, which is the #1 contemporary music program in the country, I got the #1 most competitive job in the school, where there were, I think, 6 spots when I applied, and there were over 370 applicants. So it was pretty intense, but I'm really grateful that I got that job, because not only was it fun, it took off $20,000 from schooling. And so I kind of figured that was enough to help my parents with the finances. I figured that would be enough. And I did everything that I could. I did obviously 16 credits. I was doing professional music was my major. I was focusing on songwriting, performance, and music business. And it was really fun. Every second that I was there, I knew that it was amazing to be there, and so I never took it for granted. I really tried to take it all in as much as I could. And it was amazing. I was in a choir that we performed weekly. I was in an a cappella group. I brought our a cappella group to nationals for the first time. And then I did performances throughout my time at Berklee. And I came home summer of 2019, and basically my parents sat me down and said, we don't have enough money for you to go back to school. And that hit me really, really hard. Because now, I mean, I already got in. I did the hard part of getting accepted to this insanely talented, amazing school, and now I couldn't go. And no short-term job would be able to pay for school, because it was too much. And so, yeah, I went through kind of a depressive state where, I mean, I lost all of my friends who I was close with in Boston, and I was back at home living with my parents, confused about what I'm doing, even though I was just shell-shocked at that point. So I was living at home for 8 months. I did a solo trip to London. I auditioned for a Disney Cruise Lines application. So I flew out to London for the first time. This is fully paid for by myself. I was there for 4 or 5 days and just explored London, had a blast. I auditioned for Christoph and got a call back, and I was very excited. It would have been cool. And then I flew back, and less than a week later, international travel shut down. So everything got shut down. Obviously, the opportunity ceased to exist because COVID happened, and cruise lines were a huge hotspot for COVID at the time, and they still are. And so, yeah, I was at home and didn't know what I was doing, and trying to put all of my time into self-development and fixing all the bad habits that I had gotten, because I realized how much work I still had to do before I felt ready to perform and feel comfortable being on stage again, considering how talented everyone around me was. And I kind of got to breathe for the first time, and yeah, I realized, oh crap, I have a lot of work to do. So I did a ton of practice, a ton of self-development, and I was home for 8 months. And this is the section that I'll go into more detail in the future, but it did not go as I planned. I stayed at home because, one, I wouldn't have to pay for rent, and two, I thought it would be a safe space for me to kind of heal from what was happening and grow and move on to the next stage. That did not happen. It turned into a really toxic environment for me. Around like June or July, I started doing research about moving out. At first I was going to go to Colorado, but the car that I had wasn't the best, and still isn't the best. It's still the car that I have, and I didn't trust it in Colorado winter, which I would be moving into. And so I was doing a lot of research, and I found this place in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, where, one, it was a much warmer climate, so I wouldn't have to worry about snow. I found an apartment for $800 a month that was literally on the ocean. Like, I was on the 8th floor and overlooking the ocean. Absolutely beautiful apartment. Never been there, never lived by the ocean before. Figured it would be a good place to, yeah, like, be on my own for the first time and figure things out. And I heard there was a good music scene, and so I figured it would be a good idea. It was not. Not by a long shot. It was much more conservative than I expected. And the area I was in was not really the best, and it was not a good time. And I got stuck in the lease. It was very hard to find a job. I kind of blew through all of the money that I'd saved up because I couldn't find anywhere to work, like physically anywhere to work. I was planning on doing DoorDash, but because Myrtle Beach is very much a travel place, I was making about $4 an hour, which is not even close to enough. So I couldn't do that. So the first couple of months I couldn't find work, and so I was basically just blowing through all the money I had saved up. And I was completely alone and really confused. And so the lease was 9 months, and so I was there for a long time. Just kind of surviving is the best way to describe it. Just, I was shell-shocked from everything that was happening and just trying to do my best. I had my own space, so I was practicing a lot and trying to be as open as I could, but I had a lot of hurt, and so I was closing off a lot of myself, so I wasn't really open with a lot of people. And yeah, I started researching about what I wanted to do next. And I found a job opportunity in Breckenridge, Colorado, where I was going to be a mountain activity specialist. So I would be working on the Breckenridge Mountain, and I would be helping with basically like the kids camp. And so I would be helping with a zip line, a ropes course, a bungee trampoline, like all these really fun things, and then performing on the side for the company. And so that was really exciting, but the problem was my lease was coming up in Myrtle Beach, and then I had a month And then the Breckenridge job started, and they couldn't let me live in Breckenridge before. Basically, they had employee housing, which I was using, and I had a month of a span where I didn't know what to do. We're back. So yeah, I didn't know what to do for this like 1 month, where my Myrtle Beach place wouldn't let me extend my lease for a month, but my Colorado place wouldn't let me move in a month early. So I basically had a month where I didn't know where I was gonna live. And I started doing some research, and I figured out that Nashville was on the way. And I had never lived there, and I thought that would be really fun. And so I started looking around and figured out that one of my really good friends from elementary school lived in Nashville. And so I reached out to him and I was like, hey dude, like I'm looking for a place to stay for a month. Do you have any recommendations? And he was like, Jack, I have an open room for 1 month. Do you want to just come stay with me? And I'm like, yes? Are you kidding me? Of course I do. That sounds so much fun. So that solved that problem, which was amazing. And yeah, so I was in Nashville for the month. I was doing DoorDash, just short term, in the cities, and I got to talk to him a lot. It was really nice to be able to talk to a musician and be able to, yeah, bounce ideas off of him. His whole family is very music related, which is something that I've always wanted to talk to someone about. And so it was really nice to have his family over and have these deep talks. And I'm really into these deep conversations. I don't really do small talk very well, is what I've realized. But that was really amazing. I loved Nashville. It left a really good first impression. And so then we were off to Colorado. So I drive from Nashville to Colorado, and this is the summer of 2021. So I'm in Nashville for a month, and then I drive off to Colorado for like 3 months to do this job. I'm staying in employee housing, which is like $450 a month, so not bad at all. Like really, really good. And the city of Breckenridge is really, really cute. I've always loved Colorado, and I got to explore the mountains all the time. And yeah, the job was much more physical than I expected, but it was fun. I got super tan, and I got to be in the mountains all day. It was pretty monotonous. It was kind of the same thing over and over again that got boring really quickly. But it was a really good, like, short-term summer job. And at this point, I had gotten a therapist for the first time since being at home with my family. And I was going through a lot of mental stuff where I felt like I was just waiting for the right moment to start. And my grandmother had a really good friend of hers who was kind of mentoring me at this time, and her recommendation was to stay in Colorado through the winter, to then be there for a full year and then get Colorado discount on schools and then go to like a Colorado school, which I think is an interesting idea. But I would rather spend, if I'm going to pay for it, I would rather spend my money towards courses that I know would actually benefit me, instead of just taking classes to get a degree that I'm not going to use as a musician necessarily. And so I didn't really think it was the right move, but I didn't know what to do. And so I was talking to this therapist, and I kept coming up with the idea of moving out to LA. And I'd always wanted to move out here, and it had always been like in the back of my head, like I've always wanted to, but I've never had the courage to do so. And I was talking about it with my therapist, and having that little push led me to be here. And yeah, after the 3 months, I basically put all the stepping stones into place and moved out to California. And yeah, I've been living in Venice since September of 2021. It's currently March 2022. Yeah, it's been up and down mentally, and there's a lot of opportunities here, but I'm definitely getting in my own way a lot of the time. where I feel like I need to be better or at a different point in my life for me to start, but that time isn't necessarily going to come. I just need to start. And it's for sure much more of a mental game than I expected, where like I've had a couple like short-term things, like performances here and there. I've done like background work as an actor, and it's really the first time that I've made money as a musician, and that's been really, really nice. And yeah, living here has really, it's changed a lot of things mentally for me. One of the big ones is just seeing in person, seeing people really being really successful, and being able to see them in person versus just seeing them on a screen where you can turn it off really quickly. That's been really, really helpful. And also just the idea of like, money doesn't buy you happiness. Like I've always heard it, but I've never really understood it. But it's really clicked within the last like 6 or 7 months of me being here, where just because I'm making more money, if I'm doing a job I don't enjoy or I don't have the freedom to do what I want, I would just be miserable with more money, you know? So I've really realized how important it is for me to pursue my dreams and have my career doing what I want, and not just doing the conventional thing of being successful to other people but being depressed by myself. That is not a viable solution for me. So I really want to, be open and honest with who I am and what I want to do. One of these videos, I want to deep dive into what my dreams actually are, so I can put them in a video and then come back to them in the future and see kind of where I am and where I've become and what I've become. But yeah, so I've been living in California for like 6 or 7 months so far, with up and down success. Financially, it's been really hard. It's been really, really hard financially. Like rent here is not great, and the wages didn't necessarily go up from the other places that I lived, so it's kind of the same wages but just more expensive, which is hard. And then my godparents are here. My whole godparents family is here, and they've been super helpful. They're really musical and acting related, and so having someone that I can talk to who have been through the same thing is really, really nice. And I need to keep reminding myself that what I've done in the past 2 years is really amazing. Like being able to, one, move out of your hometown and leave and move out and be financially independent for the first time at 20, 21, around that mind frame, around that time. So moving out for the first time at 20 or 21 and being fully financially independent and emotionally independent at this point, and then moving across the country 4 to 5, now 5 times in the past 2 years, and now living in the LA and working on pursuing my dreams. Like, that's crazy. And I forget how crazy that is because I'm so invested in the short term of what's happening now, and everything seems like it's the end of the world if we don't work on it now. And so, yeah, it's really hard to keep that perspective shift. But yeah, it's been up and down. I've been seeing a therapist for the past like month and a half. It took a lot of work to find one here, which was really surprising. But yeah, she's really amazing. She uses Gestalt therapy, which I highly recommend looking up. Basically, it works on the subconscious and bringing it to the forefront so you can heal from it instead of just talk therapy, which I've never enjoyed. And I have very, very high expectations for myself, but I also fully see myself achieving them. And so it's been frustrating because for me, I feel like I'm already behind, but I'm only 23, you know? And so I just need to be more patient and trust the process and keep doing things like this, because this is fun. I enjoy doing this sort of stuff. And this is how I build my career, is putting more content out there and learning and improving from it, and working on becoming who I know I can be. And I want to be that with you guys. I don't want that to be just me talking to a camera. I really want to go on this journey with my audience that I'm building. I want to do more like self-development style things. I want to create my own music and do music videos. But I want to be open for you guys and be open and honest and connect and not just look professional but then be depressed. I want to really open up and go through the steps in the process of getting to my dreams, which for me, I've always thought this, but it's not an if, it's a when. And I keep telling myself that because it's really important. Like, I do fully believe that I'm going to achieve my dreams. And it sucks that it hasn't happened yet, and it sucks that I don't have the support. But that doesn't mean I can't do it. Like, I'm going to do it. It's just, it hasn't happened yet. It makes me excited. But yeah, I kind of realized that I haven't brought anybody into what's been happening in the last 2 years. And the more that I do this, the more comfortable I'll become with opening up and talking about a lot more serious subjects, which I really want to dive into. I think self-development and the mental side of it is so important, and I still have a lot to work on, and I want to work on it together and learn and improve and, yeah, like, make a career for myself that I'm really happy and proud of, and be financially free to do what I want when I want, and work with sponsorships and ads and music videos, and then my music career. And I want to work with other artists and do like training videos and learn different habits or hobbies or passions, and then use them for my music or my career. And God, there's so many things that I'm excited to do in the future, and I'm really excited to do it with you guys. But yeah, if you have any questions, definitely put them below. I'm open to ideas, and I have a good chunk of ideas of what I want to do, but I'm definitely open. At some point, I'm going to open up a Patreon to do more of like private videos as well, and start to do like we can do like one-on-one events where it's tailored around you guys, or we can do like exciting, fun action things and then invite people in and make that a video. Or yeah, there's a lot of things that we can do with this in the future, and now even. Like, I don't need to wait to do this. Like, I can do it now, which is really cool. But yeah, that's kind of the general logistics of what has happened over the past 2 years. So yeah, this is the first time I've really told anybody that, or opened up really about this sort of stuff. Select people know, but not many people. So yeah, I really wanted to let you guys in and open up and make it a safe space that we can, yeah, make a safe space together and take on the world. But thank you guys so much for watching. Yeah, I love you guys so much, and I hope to see you guys again soon. Alright, bye.